This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace.
Last year, I went through many different life changes. I needed to take a pause and examine how I was feeling in the inside to better show up for the ones who need me to be my best version of myself.
When you're navigating life's changes, Talkspace can help. Talkspace is the #1 rated online therapy, bringing you professional support from licensed therapists and psychiatry providers that you can access anytime, anywhere.
Living a busy life, navigating a long-distance relationship, becoming a first-step father, Talkspace made all of those journeys possible. I could speak with my therapist in the office. I could speak with my therapist in the comfort of my home. I was never alone.
Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance, no problem. Now get $80 off your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
After a freak injury, a 12-year-old becomes the closer for the Chicago Cubs. Listen as we chat about how Allen stays hydrated, a villain's bad guy-ification, and a forgettable John Candy role. Then we see if Rookie of the Year stands the test of time.
It's the test of time, come on, let's check it. Test of time, what do Allen and James gotta say? All these old movies, what do they think? Do they still make it all the way to the front of your brain? Come on, what you grew up on, what you swore was gold, worn out VHS, all those stories you were told, posters on the wall, lines you still repeat. But nostalgia hits heavy, does it land on his feet? Everybody's got opinions, everybody's gotta take time, pulls the curtain back, see what still plays, what still hits, what falls behind, spin the tape back, let the record rewind. James and Allen in the frame, yeah, press play. No mercy for the classics, no free pass, okay? Come on, baby, don't be a hater. Does the movie still hold up today? Everybody knows James, can't say gladiator. It's the test of time. James and Allen gonna tell you straight. Come on, baby, do the movies that you love, do they hold up today? Do they hold up today? Do they hold up today?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Test of Time. My name is Alan Noah, and joining me, as always, is my favorite funky butt lover, James Brief.
Yeah, that's me, James Brief. This movie has a lot of whether kids actually said those things in the 90s or whether it's something a 35-year-old screenwriter thinking, I wonder what kids today say.
Well, also, this is a PG movie, so they have to put insults in the movie and quote-unquote curses that you understand are meant to be an expletive, but they can't actually say, holy fucking shit! So instead they say, funky butt-loving. I think the hope is that after kids see this movie, they will repeat it in real life. And I do feel like I said funky butt-loving and some of the other dumb things in this movie in real life after seeing the movie. Personally. But we're talking about this movie, Rookie of the Year, because opening day for the MLB season is next week. It's early this year. It's a Thursday at the end of March. I will be there at Citi Field for the Mets opening day, hopefully with Eli, because I'd have to pull him out of school. So I'm hoping he doesn't have any big tests that pop up between now and then. I'm a Mets fan, born and raised, but this movie takes place in Chicago. Eli and I went to Wrigley Field for the first time last year, maybe 2 years ago. That is an amazing stadium. Have you ever been there? Have you ever seen a game at Wrigley?
I've never seen a game at Wrigley, but it's almost the classic baseball field. It's the one that has brick behind the batters and the catcher, and it has a little bit of ivy growing on it.
A lot of ivy.
Yeah, a lot of ivy. It's as opposed to the beautiful, modern, sleek-looking ones.
It's really, really something special. I've seen a handful of games at Fenway. I kind of lump those two together because they're the two old ones. Fenway was built in 1912. Wrigley was from 1914. Like when you go to those stadiums, it's just a different experience. And I love Citi Field because I'm a Mets fan, but it is a modern stadium. And of the other handful of modern stadiums that I've been to, they're kind of all the same. Not literally exactly the same, but they all feel like they are somewhat cookie cutter.
A lot of them are, but Camden Yards in Baltimore, I don't know if you've ever been there.
No.
That, to me, I'd been there, that felt like and I mean this as a compliment, it felt like a professional Little League feel. Like it felt like a really nice...
That's a compliment?
I mean it as a compliment because it felt less like one of these monstrosity... And when I say a Little League feel, I mean as in like what a Texas town that has a $3 million annual budget buys a $35 million football field. I mean, This is what that baseball field is going to look like, Camden Yards. Citi Field is an improvement over Shea Stadium. I mean, a lot of old Met fans say it had personality, but I mean, I think that's a nice way of saying it was really, really small, and everyone was tight together, and it wasn't very nice inside.
No, but it was a matter of pride. It was a dump, but it was our dump. Look,
yeah.
I'm drinking from my Shea Stadium cup, this big giant monstrosity of a cup that says nobody beats the Wiz on the back. This is how I stay hydrated throughout the day because it's 50 something ounces. So I drink a couple of those every day and then I'm good.
Yeah, it's something only Mets fans say, that they like Shea better, even though in every objectable way, Citi Field is better. I mean, the food is better. They have the food court, which is very good. In every way, it's better.
You can sit all the way in the upper deck and have a great view.
Yeah. What do you own in your home that's from the old stadium?
Oh, yeah. Courtney got me 2 seats from Shea Stadium. They're cool. I do a little bit hate the fact that they have become just a place to put stuff on, and just like crap that you don't know where to put it. You just throw it on those seats. So they're not like seats that we use to sit in to watch TV or anything like that. That's a little bit of a bummer, but they are cool, I think.
I will say every time I come into your house, I go, oh, those are cool.
Oh, thank you. I agree. But let's get into Rookie of the Year. This movie is about 12-year-old Henry Rowengartner. Henry dreams of playing baseball, but he isn't very good. After breaking his arm in an accident, the tendons heal unusually tight and give him the ability to throw a baseball at incredible speeds. When he casually throws a ball from the outfield stands of Wrigley Field all the way to home plate, the Chicago Cubs sign him as a pitcher. Henry suddenly becomes a major league sensation while navigating school, girls, friends, and the pressures of professional baseball, with the mentorship of veteran pitcher Chet Rocket Steadman. With the pennant on the line, another accident causes Henry to lose his ability to throw a fastball. Without his superarm, Henry uses his wits and some trickery to win the game for the Cubs. So this movie did pretty well when it came out in the early 90s, right, James?
That's correct. It did very well for a movie like this. It was a relatively low-budget film. I've seen anywhere from $10 to $14 million. It opened on July 9th, 1993, to a very crowded weekend. Jurassic Park was there. The Firm was number 1. It wound up opening at number 5 with $9.1 million, but it ended its run with $53.6 million domestically.
Wow.
That's like almost a 6 times multiplier, 5.5 or so. This was a big hit, and it's the kind of thing I think that they saw maybe the next Macaulay Culkin kind of thing, because when there was a kid that had a hit in the 90s, you try to squeeze as much juice out of him as you can. Do you remember the other movies he was in? Not American Pie, like the kids' movies. Do you remember those? They tried to market him.
You're talking about Thomas Ian Nicholas, the star.
Yeah, Thomas Ian Nicholas.
No, I only know him from the American Pie movies and Rookie of the Year.
There were a couple movies. One was A Kid in King Arthur's Court, which was a Disney-fied version of A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, which was a Mark Twain novel. Then they started like a trend of those. So Kid in King Arthur's Court became A Kid in Aladdin's Court or something. And I looked at the box office. It went down, down, down. So he didn't really become like the bankable star. But then he popped up again in American Pie, of course.
Yeah.
And it's funny, if you look at his IMDb, because I was kind of wondering, what else has he done? Usually highlights what he's most known for. Can you believe that neither Rookie of the Year or American Pie are on the what he's known for?
Then what is?
The only movie I've ever heard of is a movie, The Rules of Attraction, with the late James Van Der Beek.
Right.
It's one of those Roger Avery films, but also Red Band Society, Adverse, and Please Give. Other movies I've never heard of. So the fact that the guy was in I think he was in every one of the American Pie movies.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
But also, it's interesting that you bring up Home Alone, because Rookie of the Year was directed by Daniel Stern. And to this day, this remains the only movie that Daniel Stern has directed. He's directed TV shows. He started, I think, on The Wonder Years, where he did the voice of the adult Kevin Arnold. But this movie was kind of inspired by Home Alone, because Daniel Stern saw the way that Macaulay Culkin was manipulated by the adults around him, mainly his father. And so that kind of led him to want to do a movie about a kid who's manipulated by adults. Daniel Stern didn't want to be in this movie. The studio kind of pressured him into taking on a small role. I don't particularly think his role is that funny. It's basically just slapstick. He's an idiot, and he's constantly getting trapped in places, which was a strategic move by Daniel Stern, the director, because this was his first time directing a movie. He wanted to focus on the directing. And so he just had these ideas of his character getting trapped in that little space in the hotel room, in the fenced-in thing in the dugout. And so he's just not there for a lot of the scenes. So that's convenient. And I'm guessing I laughed at it when I saw this movie as a teenager. But, you know, he's also just kind of leaning into the fact that in the Home Alone movies, he falls down, he gets hurt, and it's funny. Kids like seeing him get hurt. So I give him credit for just kind of making himself the butt of the joke.
I kind of liked his role. It was very small. I thought it was going to be a lot more annoying than it was. Mostly it's slapstick when he goes, uh-oh, this isn't good. A little help when he's stuck. But later on, when he's stuck in the cage during the pennant race game, he's like actively cheering. Like, he doesn't really care he's in the cage. He's just watching a game like a fan, which I kind of thought was kind of funny.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of funny that he never directed another movie because, as you said, this movie did okay. It made some money. I don't think it's amazingly directed, but it's not terribly directed either. You would think that he would have gotten another shot somewhere along the way.
Absolutely. I was even admiring in the beginning, like the opening credits are just, it's opening day at Wrigley Field. I don't mean this as an insult. I was thinking this is very, I don't want to use the word generic, but by the numbers, meaning very competently done. The only reason I would think he didn't get another generic Disney film to direct was because maybe he didn't like doing it.
Maybe. The opening sequence did get me more excited for opening day. And, you know, I feel like that every year around this time. Like, oh man, baseball. I thought those shots were effective at getting you excited for baseball in real life, for the movie, whatever. I guess we should talk about Henry's injury. It's dumb. The fact that he falls on this baseball and now can throw 100 miles an hour. They do the thing where they kind of sort of explain it in medical terms. I think, though, that it's better to just imagine it as magic. Nobody says the word magic in this movie, but it's magic. Also, I thought that if they wanted to give an explanation for it, they could have explained it with the way that they cast his arm, you know, like straight up at a 90-degree angle. That's not how they would do that, I would think. You tell me, you're the pediatrician. But maybe, because they put it in the cast like that for 4 months, that's why the tendons were the way they were.
I thought actually it was good enough. I actually would not have liked if they did like magic, like one of those like Mike, like he's wearing magic shoes. I totally forgot that they added in the mechanical sounds every time he turns his arm. I feel like I would have liked it in the 90s, but I thought it was very lame now. Yeah. Like it's cracking every time he does it. Whatever. I thought it was good enough of an explanation.
Sure. And there are many, many, many things in this movie where you have to suspend belief. When he throws that ball from the outfield bleachers all the way to the catcher at home plate, apparently someone did the math on that, and that would require him to throw the ball at 150 miles an hour. And in the movie, when he's pitching and they use the gun to see the speed, he's at around 100, 101, which is faster than pitchers were throwing in the 90s.
I mean, that's Wild Thing level speedballs from Major League.
Exactly. In the 90s, they were closer to, high 80s, low 90s. But throwing at 101 miles an hour is insane. Throwing at 150 miles an hour, that's like extra insane.
I just thought it was odd that he did a line drive from the stands. I just think the physics of it, like he later does 100 miles per hour from 60 feet away, which is the pitcher's mound. So I agree with you there. As an adult, I immediately caught that. But yes, it's the kind of film where it's a kid who can throw whatever fastball, whatever the scene needs. It'll either be hard enough that it's going to knock the pitcher back, like onto his ass, or it's going to be, a normal 100-mile-per-hour fastball.
Right. And so Henry is signed because the Cubs are failing as a team. In order to not lose the franchise, they have to sell out every single home game for the rest of the season. It's now August. This really seems like a problem they should have addressed earlier in the season. Like, there's no way that will happen, even with an amazing new signing, even with the novelty of it's a kid. I kind of forgot that he was the closer. I thought he was a starting pitcher. It does make more sense that he would be a closer if they need to put butts in seats, because a closer could theoretically pitch in every home game, as opposed to a starter who's only going to pitch every 5 games.
Yeah, the only correction I'll say is he is the closer, because it seems that there are no other pitchers in this franchise other than Rocket and Henry.
Well, yeah, and there's no middle relief. At the last game, Rocket comes out, I think, after 6 innings, and then they put Henry in for the 7th, 8th, and 9th, which is not really how it would go.
Yeah, that's a relief pitcher, not a closer.
Yeah, he would come in the 9th, maybe in the 8th if they were desperate. Also, it does look like he maybe pitches 4 innings because of the number of zeros they put up in the scoreboard, which I'm guessing was just an editing mistake, but whatever.
The owner of the Cubs is the sweet old man from Home Alone 2, the owner of Duncan's Toy Chest.
Right.
Looking at it now, it's like, oh, the poor billionaire is going to have to sell the Cubs for $2.5 billion.
Well, he wants to give it to his nephew, Dan Hedaya.
Right, there's something weird there. What do you mean he's going to lose it? To who?
If he's giving it to his nephew, huh?
Right. This was the opposite of a movie like Major League, where you have kind of an evil owner. And if the franchise loses, we get to move. We had that also in, what's the other movie?
Any Given Sunday.
Any Given Sunday, where Cameron Diaz kind of is interested in maybe moving the team, the franchise.
Right.
I didn't get the stakes of that.
You're right. The stakes don't make sense. The logic doesn't make sense. What does make sense is they need to put butts in seats, so they signed this kid as a novelty. Sure. But they put him into a game when he's never faced a batter. That makes no goddamn sense.
Right. He doesn't even start a random minor league team game. He doesn't even have a warm-up pitch.
Even if they need him in the majors right away, yeah, he would practice with other Cubs players, even batting practice before that first game. They would do that. They would have him pitch to a player. And yeah, the first time he's ever throwing to a person is when he's in that game. Come on. That's just insanity. Again, you're not really supposed to think about it, but someone along the way would make him pitch to a person.
Can we talk about the boyfriend for a moment? That's Stan. Is Stan the boyfriend?
Jack.
Okay. The mom's boyfriend, the single mom. I like that they introduce him as not necessarily a bad guy, but just kind of a roll your eyes at him boyfriend.
Yeah.
Because he does something that guys will do. He's a little too over anxious. He talks about their 3rd week anniversary, and he gives the mom a necklace.
Yeah.
And it's cringy, but actually kind of believable cringy, because I know people that have done this. I've seen this happen. But it's a little weird because he is in no relation to the kid. He's not married to the mom. And he's given the role of manager of Henry.
Right.
I don't know why it's not the mom. I guess the mom does have to co-sign everything. We do see that a little later.
Right.
But they give him this real villain role. I don't necessarily see him as a bad guy. The parts where he's saying you can't play with your friends, you have to go to a photo shoot, fine, that's the typical bad stuff. But he's setting this kid up for life. I mean, the Pepsi commercials and all this other stuff. I kind of was like, if this guy just wasn't a complete asshole, why did he ruin his meal ticket? Like, he obviously likes the mom. The mom's beautiful. Like, he seems to have a great thing. He went into this kind of, relatively poor single mom and he hit the jackpot. He wasn't necessarily a bad guy. They had to bad guy-ify him so that they could get rid of him and put Chet in place.
I like bad guy-ify. You're 100% right. When you first meet him, you understand why Henry hates him because he's dating his mom. Period. The end. Full stop. Sure. But the bad guy-ification really starts when he right away is like, I'm his manager. No, you are not. You are the guy who's been dating his mom for a couple months. This all has to go through his mom. He gets jealous of the mom's relationship with Stedman, Rocket, the Gary Busey character. So then he decides he's going to sign him away to the Yankees because, yeah, that will set up the kid for life, but also that gives him 10%, which is $2.5 million. So he tricks the mom into signing the contract, which, okay, now he has been fully bad guy-ified. I really like this. I'm leaning into it. But like when he and Dan Hedaya are conspiring to get rid of the kid, first off, they don't say trade, they say sell.
Right.
That they are going to sell him to the Yankees, which makes it sound so much worse. Now it's like child trafficking.
It was purposely worded so that it could look like they're just being sleazy about him.
Yes. But I mean, I understand why the boyfriend would be fine with trading the kid to the Yankees so he gets $2.5 million. I don't understand why Dan Hedaya, who's presumably going to be taking over the team the next year, is going to trade away the one person on his team who's putting butts in seats. That doesn't make any sense. Their team's terrible.
The $25 million involves probably money exchanging to the Cubs.
Well, sure. Then Hedaya needs a line where he says, I'm going to take that $25 million and use it to sign this guy, that guy, that guy. And so that will be how I'm going to take the Cubs to the next level next year when my dumb uncle's retired or something. Because it basically just feels like in that one conversation, he's going to get rid of the kid, which is going to help the boyfriend. And the boyfriend also says, well, and you also need to get rid of Rocket, Stedman, because he's hitting on my girlfriend. And Hedaya is like, yeah, sure. Like, I don't understand why Hedaya is doing all of these favors for the boyfriend. He should be focused on money and profits. And that's all he cares about, not doing a favor for the kid's mom's boyfriend.
There are parts of the movie that really I have trouble getting over. For example, there's another part where you have this raw talent, and it reminds me of the movie Major League, where you have this guy that could throw a 101 mile per hour fastball, but he's taking people's heads off, and he's breaking the wooden plaques behind home plate because he's wild. And then they figure out Charlie Sheen's character gets eyeglasses, and oh, that's what it was.
Right.
It really annoys me that there's never a scene where they actually teach him how to do it. They didn't give him anything. There's a part where Chet comes out to give a nervous Henry a good inspirational speech. And not only does he say gibberish, and I was kind of like, what the fuck does that mean? But the character literally says, what the hell does that mean? And he's like, I don't know. It's just gibberish.
And it works because it's Busey.
Yeah, I guess. But I was annoyed by that. Like, maybe Rocket is kind of like, all right, kid, I might not have the arm I used to. Because there's even this sweet part of like, don't call me Rocket. I'm not Rocket anymore. I don't have that arm anymore. But son, I'm going to teach you to be the next Rocket. That never happens. Like, Rocket obviously has talent, and he used to be amazing because he has that amazing nickname. But I don't like that they never teach him how to do anything.
That's 100% right. And they have Rocket as the mentor. They also have Daniel Stern as the pitching coach. Neither one of them teaches this kid anything.
No.
And yeah, Daniel Stern is just there for comic relief. But yeah, Busey's supposed to be the mentor, and he doesn't teach him anything. You're right.
Another thing that bothered me, and I was thinking about, wait a second, this is 1993 and it's the Cubs. The Cubs are the National League, so there's no designated hitter in the NL. Henry's going to have to bat at some point.
Right.
It's a true story that they once had as a gimmick. An owner put a little person in as a baseball player. It was like the 30s or 40s,
Right.
and the guy had no strike zone because the defined area of a strike zone, there's no set area. It's defined by the batter. I believe it's basically between their front shoulder and their upper hip, right?
Oh, I was going to say nipples to knees, but I
Something
could
like that. All right,
definitely
fine.
be wrong about
But
that.
whatever it is, it's defined based on that person. So, a tall
Yes.
torso is going to have a wider strike zone. And baseball actually did ban little people from Major League Baseball because it was just unfair. The strike zone was too small. So I get it, but Henry is a regular sized 12-year-old. So he's got to be like 4'10" or something.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
This isn't an impossibility. So what they do for Henry is he gets walked because the pitcher can't pitch there. But these are professional pitchers. Why can't they pitch in a strike zone? I mean, they should be able to.
I think the joke is, yeah, he has a small strike zone. What bothered me about it was that nobody said to him, whatever you do, don't swing.
That's a good idea.
Because hopefully the pitcher won't be able to find the smaller strike zone and will walk him, or the pitcher will be able to find the strike zone and will strike him out. But don't hit the ball. Don't injure yourself trying to hit the ball. Don't ground into a double play. The safest thing for him to do is to walk up there, keep the bat on his shoulders, and not swing at all. I just figured that would be the obvious advice someone would say to him. Don't swing. 2 words.
We're bashing the movie a little bit, but I loved that Wizard of Oz scene when the 3 boys go up to the Cubs. They go up to the front door, and out of the Cubs logo, the guy comes out. What do you want? Like exactly how they play out when they get to Emerald City. I thought that was cute. I don't know if you thought that was fun or not.
To me, I didn't like it because it wasn't a loving homage. It was a blatant ripoff, even down to the line of, oh, well, that's a horse of a different color. It's too on the nose. Also, then that leads to Henry going in to the locker room for the first time. And, obviously his friends can't go with him. That makes sense. But I swim at the local Y, and there is a men's locker room and a boys' locker room and a girls' locker room and a women's locker room to keep the adults and the kids separate. Okay, fine. A Major League Baseball team wouldn't have a separate kids' locker room because, of course, they wouldn't. But it's played for laughs that the kid is insecure about being amongst all of these adults. It's kind of a weird dick joke that he doesn't want to change in front of them because they're adults and he sees their chest hair, and then he looks down at himself, and the score has a flute to indicate that he is little and tiny. Yeah, I get it, but I just thought that was a weird joke.
I see what you mean. The part that I thought was weird is that there is a party scene that seems to take place at a bar of some sort that you'd think that, Henry's not invited to.
Yeah, I could see that.
You're right. Maybe it's more like a wedding or a bar mitzvah or something like that where there is alcohol, but sure, kids can go because it's just a restaurant or something.
Yeah.
But Daniel Stern's character kind of is like, oh, Henry, let's celebrate. They gesture towards these 2 beautiful women, and it's like, excuse me, ladies. And the ladies kind of give a little gesture, but also like, Daniel Stern's kind of weird looking and Henry is a boy. And you think this is really creepy. Like, why is he trying to have Henry hit on these 2 women? And then he repeats himself, excuse me, ladies. And he actually meant like, pardon me, ladies, get out of the way.
Right.
Because the ladies move to the sides and there's a pinball machine behind him. That's what Daniel Stern's character was inviting him to. That was genuinely funny. I laughed out loud at that part.
That was funny. I laughed too. You know what isn't funny in this movie? and is a crime that he's not funny in this movie? John Candy. John Candy is a comedy legend. He did this movie as a favor to Daniel Stern. He's not credited. And the reason is because it was a very, very late edition. The movie had been filmed and edited, and they realized they didn't have any exposition, and they kind of needed someone to narrate the games and explain what was happening. And so they brought in John Candy, who was one of the funniest people of his time. And he's not funny in this movie at all. He has one line where he's talking about the games of yore, back when men were men. Well, that's another story. And that's the closest he comes to a joke, and that's not funny. And nothing else he says is even close to that. I was disappointed.
You're right. I completely forgot that he was in this because it was not memorable.
Sure.
And the sports announcer role is almost the perfect role to just throw jokes in.
Yeah.
I mean, Bob Uecker is hysterical in Major League.
So funny.
It's such a shame. And in fact, he says the wrong thing towards the end. The last game of the movie, that's the pennant race, right?
I don't know, because they say it every different way.
Right, because John Candy's, he says the winner of this game goes to the World Series. That also implies that this is game 7 of the playoffs, or that the Cubs were winning, because it has to be a tie, because he said whoever wins this goes to the World Series. Like, they never mentioned once that the Cubs won the pennant. I couldn't tell what the last game was.
The reason you couldn't tell is because they say it in multiple different ways. John Candy says the winner of this game goes on to the World Series, but they also say that the winner of this game wins the division.
Yeah.
So those are two very different things. I can split hairs on semantics and annoy the shit out of everybody, but there's a difference between winning the division and winning the pennant. Those are two different words that mean very different things. My best guess is that John Candy's line is the mistake, that this is in fact the last game of the season, and this is to win the division. This was before there were 3 divisions. There's only the National League East and the National League West.
And the Cubs were in the National League East with the Mets, so they can't be playing them in the playoffs.
Right. But if John Candy's right, and the winner of this game goes on to play in the World Series, then this is a high stakes game for the Mets as well. If it's the last game of the season and the Cubs need to win the division, then it's a high stakes game for the Cubs, but not necessarily for the Mets. It could be, or it could be that the Mets are just playing spoiler and they're not in the race. Either one is fine, but it would be helpful if that was clearly defined, and it very much is not.
But they clearly say several times to the movie, trying to show the improvement of the Cubs, how many games they are behind the Mets.
They say that? Behind the Mets?
Yeah, they do say at some point that there are like only 3 games behind the Mets now.
Oh, okay.
The classic 90s sports formula is that you meet the nemesis at the beginning and get your ass kicked. And then at the end, you'll be able to beat them.
Right.
And that's exactly what happens here. He meets I always thought of him, and I'm almost positive it's not. I always assumed it was the actor who played Ogre in the Revenge of the Nerds movies, plays the big baddie in this film. I don't think it is, right?
No, it's not.
It's not, but he looks like Ogre.
Yes.
He gets a home run at his first at-bat, and then this is also the last guy of the last game. I guess in theory, if you only pitched 3 innings, you could theoretically not have pitched to this guy, but it seems like he's never pitched to this guy again since his first pitch back in August.
Yeah.
I don't think about the injury on his arm, but these little baseball things did bother me.
Well, also, speaking of John Candy lines that are probably mistakes, he says early in the movie that they have now won 2 games in a row, which is their longest win streak of the season. And this is mid-August. So the fact that they have not won 2 games in a row through the middle of August, and then they go on to win the division and the World Series, as we see in the final shot, that's theoretically possible, but they basically can't lose throughout August and September. Yeah. And that's kind of hard to believe, especially because does this team have any other pitchers? Any other starting pitchers besides Stedman? Any other relievers besides Henry? Doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, they don't talk about much of the team, which is, I think, a negative part of this film. Every sports ensemble usually get a little character with them, just a couple of the fun people. There's really only Rocket. You barely get the coach involved.
He just can't say Rowan Gartner. He just says the last name wrong.
It's a little bit eye-rolling that he can't get his name right. I just didn't like that you never met really anyone on this team at all.
Yeah, you were kind of talking about Major League before. In Major League, you do see more of the players on the team, so you can believe that maybe these scrappy underdogs could win. But because we see two people on this team, you don't feel it. Neil Flynn, by the way, who I love from Scrubs, is one of the other players on the team. And yeah, he has a little personality and maybe a character name, but you just don't feel anyone else there. So it is eye roll worthy. And speaking of eye roll worthy, let's talk about the very, very end of the movie when Henry loses his ability to throw fast pitches. And so he resorts to tricks. And the first thing is that if he loses his ability, they should take him out and he should go to another reliever.
Exactly. 25,000 people saw him fall and millions of people saw him get injured as he walked out.
Right. There's a meeting on the mound where he invites all of the position players to come and talk to him, but the pitching coach doesn't come because he's trapped in the cage in the dugout. The manager doesn't come out. If the manager had come out, he would have said, oh, you can't throw. You're out. The playoffs are on the line. Yeah. You don't screw around.
You can literally have any one pitch. One of these players pitched back in high school. Almost guaranteed. Like somebody can pitch.
Yes. So that is ridiculous. Then the trick play where after the meeting on the mound, the first baseman holds the ball. And so the runner steps off and is then tagged out. That's an illegal move. That would not be an out.
Absolutely not. No. That's the one clever one. Fake ball pitch has absolutely happened before.
In the major leagues?
Yes, it's absolutely happened because if you call timeout, you can't do that trick. If you don't technically call timeout, like you do something you're not supposed to do, like you walk over and you have a conversation, there's loopholes that you can do that. And it has happened.
Wow. Okay.
Because technically it's still a live play in the same way that if he didn't call timeout and all the players run to the pitcher, I think that the guy could have stolen second base, like something like that.
Oh, okay. Or maybe even just walked to second, third, and home.
Right. Like that first one was fine. The second out that they get, wait, what do they do? They that's the one where he taunts the guy.
He taunts the guy, calls him a chicken, and then says, I'll throw the ball up in the air as high as I can, and then I dare you to run. And he doesn't actually throw it. And then he runs to second base and beats the guy. That's pretty damn dumb.
That one's lame.
Because the kid is calling him a chicken, he's not going to put the playoffs on the line on a dare.
Right. And there's also no first base coach there to tell him what to do, because the runner on base is not necessarily supposed to be looking around at everything going on. There's supposed to be an assistant on first base and third base. You listen to that guy. Just look at him or listen to him. He will tell you whether to run home or not.
Yes.
But I hate the last play of this film.
That's the one that makes the most sense to me.
I hate that it works.
It's stupid, but it's legal and it's set up. It's set up early in the movie. The mom's throwing the sunscreen to him like that throughout the movie. And then he sees that it's her name on the glove, that she was the baseball player. It wasn't the absentee dad. So that's how he can throw the ball. And it's a stupid thing for Henry to do. It's a stupid thing for the Mets player to swing at. But yeah, it's technically legal. I could buy that this guy would think that maybe he would be able to hit it. I mean, again, the smarter thing for him to do is to hold the bat over his shoulder and say, no, pitch to me. Pitch to me for real. I'll wait, guessing that he can't, and then be walked. That's the much smarter move.
I just disagree. I hate it so much. The final secret play has to be a callback.
It is.
They do a little callback. Oh, it's mom. I got to think of mom at this moment. They had to have established that at some point that, Henry, throw these fastballs. And Henry throws an underarm thing, just playing around, and the guy misses. Henry, quit messing around and throw the heat. They had to have done something. The ogre Mets superstar, as Henry throws this slow pitch, the guy is thinking, this is the greatest thing ever. His tongue is literally hanging out of his mouth. He's salivating about how wonderful a pitch this is for a major league professional player who is a superstar. And the fact that he misses it bothers me. It always bothered me. I hate it so much.
I mean, I hear what you're saying. It is a callback. The mom was tossing the sunscreen underhand like that. And one time she does it at the airport and Daniel Stern says, oh, I haven't seen a pitch like that since blah, blah, blah.
Then Daniel Stern should have said, I haven't seen a pitch like that since a 1942 Dodgers game in which he actually even struck out Jackie Robinson. It would have been the 50s, but something like that.
Fine. And then the movie ends with Henry back playing Little League with his friends. That's where he belongs. He wins the Little League game and his mom runs onto the field and hugs him. She and Rocket are clearly together now, and Rocket is coaching the Little League team. Maybe she's a coach, maybe she isn't. Either way, mom running onto the field and hugging the kid who wins the game, that's going to embarrass the crap out of that kid, coach or not. But yeah, then he pumps his fist and you see a World Series ring, implying that the Cubs did win the World Series that year. Again, how they had no other players. He was out because his arm didn't work. Stedman's arm didn't work. Whatever. The Cubs did eventually break their curse and win the World Series in 2016, many, many, many years after this movie came out. But James, let me ask you, do you think that Rookie of the Year stands the test of time?
It is a cute film. It's a very short film. It's an hour 40. It's a pretty tight film. I actually thought the ending came a lot quicker than I thought it would. There's this other little side subplot about a boat that they're fixing with his friends. And There's one scene where they actually ride it in their lake. It seems like this is a horribly dangerous boat that these kids are riding. It looks like the engine's going to explode.
Oh, there's smoke everywhere.
Yeah.
No one's wearing a life vest. Where are the parents? That's what I was thinking as a father.
I actually liked the film more than I remembered liking it. I think Thomas Ian Nicholas, I think he's a very good child actor, meaning whether intentional or not, this kid's voice cracks a lot in this film.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually very good for this character. I genuinely like that the end of these films is that you don't have any magic power and you're really kind of outmatched physically by the other team, so you can use your wits to win. They do this in all these sports movies. They even do it in modern things like Squid Game, the tug of war scene. They can't beat them with strength, so you got to use your smarts. I always liked that. I liked it as a kid because maybe I kind of saw something in that if I wasn't the strongest kid, I could use my smarts to win. I just really don't like the payoff at the end of this film. So a lot of this film, it's actually quite charming. But for me, a lot of the pieces just don't add up. I think that a 12-year-old might like it. And sometimes I do say it does what it's meant to do for a 12-year-old kid's film. I think it's a little less intelligent than it should be. I think it should be a little bit more clever. So for me, it does not stand the test of time. I'm just going to mention one last thing that doesn't stand the test of time. I do love the fact that the Chicago owner, that he doesn't want to go in the stands because the fans will kill him, which might be accurate. Because I know if the Jets owner goes to the stands, they'd probably, throw stuff at him too. I like that he does go in the stands at the very end and he buys hot dogs for all the kids and he goes, what? $3 for a hot dog?
Yeah.
And that's outrageous in 1993. And holy shit, man, $3 for a hot dog? I'd buy 5 hot dogs because that's probably the price of 1 hot dog today. What about you, Al? Does Rookie of the Year hold up for you? Does it stand the test of time?
First off, I'm pretty sure that at the local minor league stadium, a hot dog is much more than $3. So yes, I did get a laugh out of that. I did want to just kind of also go back to the friends and the boat trip and everything. I get that they kind of had to do that, have a scene with the friends and they're fighting and then they make up, but it all happens way too fast. It is just so quick. There's not resentment that builds up and then there's no reason for them to forgive each other. It just is like, oh, we need them to fight. Oh, we need them to make up. And so that I did find a little annoying. Also, it seems obligatory that there needs to be girls and crushes in this movie. As a father, I can say that I'm making a generalization here. It's not true for everyone. But generally, when it comes to kids at this age, 12-year-olds, the girls are interested in the boys are not interested in the girls. There's that maturity difference thing. It's real. And that doesn't work for a movie. In the movie, the girls have to like the boys and the boys have to like the girls. I was just kind of rolling my eyes that the boys cared that the girls liked the boys. Whatever. That's a small thing. I found this movie kind of charming. The biggest thing about this movie that doesn't stand the test of time is that it really is for a very, very small demographic. 12-year-old boys and under, I think, would like this movie. I think that's it. And I kind of feel like more modern kid movies, family-friendly movies, they have to appeal to a bigger piece of the pie. They need to appeal to the younger kids and the older kids and the parents, and you kind of need to have a little something for everyone in there. That's how you're going to get people to show up and get people to bring their whole family. That's how movies are made, because they want to have a wide appeal. 4 quadrants, right? You need to have that 4-quadrant appeal. I'm pretty sure I saw this movie in the theater the summer it came out, and I'm sure that I loved it. And I'm sure my friends loved it. I just don't feel like other people would like it. I don't think older kids would like it. I didn't watch this with my kids. I thought they would be bored. I'm pretty sure they would have hated it. And I do think that hurts the movie from a test of time perspective. That said, if you look at it like this is a movie for, let's just say, 10-year-old boys, I think 10-year-old boys would have loved it in 93, and they probably would love it now. I think they might even like it more because they don't see movies that are so specifically catered to their interests. We talked about a lot of the things that are unrealistic in this movie. A couple more I had on my list that we didn't talk about already. It seems like sometimes Henry is in the dugout when he should be in the bullpen, or, he kind of magically goes from the dugout to the bullpen. He really gets a lot of air when he trips on the baseball, both times, at the beginning and the end. I could see running on a baseball and falling and hurting yourself, but he goes flying way up in the air. I don't understand why they're carrying the boat engine around in school. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, they're carrying it in the cafeteria and the girls are like, hey, what's that? Yeah, why are you holding it? Why'd you bring that thing to lunch? The most unrealistic thing about this movie is that if we do believe John Candy's line that the Mets were 1 game away from the World Series in 1992 or 1993, they were so bad back then. So were the Cubs. That is kind of laughable. And then, flip side of that coin, what are the most realistic things in this movie? That the Yankees wanted to sign the kid because they saw that he was valuable. Sure. Henry doing laundry in the beginning and not taking off his uniform, which is so dirty, because he's an absent-minded kid. He wouldn't think to do that. But the most realistic thing in the movie is the Mets losing in the most humiliating and heartbreaking fashion at the last at-bat of the season. Yup. That totally tracks.
And I have to say, I looked up what the 1993 standings for the NL East were.
Were the Mets in dead last?
Not only were they in dead last, the Florida Marlins, which I think that might have been their first or second season, 1993.
I think it was their first.
They finished a little above them. The Mets finished 59 and 103. They finished 38 games back behind the Philadelphia Phillies. 38 games back.
Yeah. watching this movie as a Mets fan is tough because I know I'm supposed to be rooting for Henry, but I have to root for the Mets, but they're the bad guys, and it's kind of fun watching the Mets in a playoff race.
Yeah. It's usually New York teams.
Yeah, I mean, in Major League, the Indians are going up against the Yankees, and sure, that makes sense. The Yankees have had their off years, but they're kind of just perennially winners.
Right.
It's easy to make the Yankees the bad guy. I don't like that the Mets are the bad guys in this movie. Come on, we have it just as tough as the Cubs fans, give or take. And the Mets did beat the Cubs for the pennant in 2015, the year before the Cubs went on to win the World Series. I was kind of on the fence on this movie. I think I'm going to say that it doesn't stand the test of time just because it is so narrow in its focus that really it's just for kids who like baseball. I think Roger Ebert said that in his review, that he would have loved to have watched this movie when he was a little leaguer and he sucked at Little League, and it would have spoken to him then. But watching it as an adult, he was like, no, this is terrible. And yeah, I think if you're going to make a modern movie for kids who love baseball, you're going to need to widen the appeal a bit more than they did with this movie. If you're a kid and you love baseball, and by kid, I kind of mean 12 and under, I think you'll like it. I think if you're a teenager, you're going to be too old for it. Oh, also, speaking of the Mets, I'm sure you caught the Bobby Bonilla cameo in there.
There were a couple of those. Barry Bonds, Bobby Bonilla, and Pedro Guerrero.
Right.
Those were three superstars from back then.
And Bonds is wearing his Pirates uniform. They filmed before he had been traded to the Giants.
Did you notice, though, that Henry was in absolute awe of Wrigley Field every single time he stepped out? He would go, whoa, like every single game. It's not unrealistic. I guess you could be in awe every time, but I feel like maybe they filmed it out of order because they probably filmed every single Wrigley sequence in maybe 1 or 2 days.
I think they did all of the Wrigley Field stuff during one doubleheader. They filmed a lot of it just in between the two games, and they needed the people to cheer for Henry, but a lot of people in the crowd were cheering for Ozzie Smith because the Cubs were playing the Cardinals, and so everyone wanted to see Ozzie Smith, but they were able to get, enough of the crowd cheering for Henry, so Daniel Stern was able to make it work. But that's going to do it for us this week. Come back next week when we'll be talking about Chicken Run. I have never seen this movie. This was a movie that you picked. It's a claymation thing, right?
It's a claymation. It's a little bit of a remake of a classic film called The Great Escape.
Okay. Well, until then, we want to hear from you guys. We are at Test of Time Pod on Facebook, X, Instagram, and Threads. You can find all of our old back episodes at testoftimepod.com. Write to us. Let us know what you think about baseball, about kids playing baseball. Gary Busey, Daniel Stern. We love hearing from you, and we'll see you next time, everyone.
Bye.